Okay, good morning. Thank you for coming. I'm Nik Peachey, and this is going to be a presentation on taking care of your own professional development, a kind of a DIY approach to how to develop yourself online, and a kind of personal look at how I do it. I'm Nik Peachey. I work freelance and part of the time I work for Bell Educational Trust. I've been working in English language teaching for about 20 years. I've got a master's in educational technology. I come from a background in teaching. Before I got into the technology, I was a Self and Delta trainer and an ELT teacher. I'm now Prince 2 project manager as well. This little logo over the side here is because I won an Elton for Bell Educational Trust for developing a blended learning course online for them last year. This logo here, Cambridge English teacher. I do some writing for the online courses for Cambridge English teacher as well. If you're worried about sort of writing down URLs and copying down things during the presentation, don't worry. At the end, I'll give you one link and you can download everything. So if you want to put your pencil down and relax.
Can you give me again today's meeting?
You can. Okay, and if you want to participate live, let's see, there are a few people there already. The link is today's so it's this one, today's meet, all one word, .com, and then a slash and BESIG. Put in your name and say hello. Hi, good. We've got a few people there already. Could you do the session? I can try. But interpretive dance isn't one of my stronger features. In fact, dance generally isn't one of my strong features. Okay, so I'll start with a quote that I like to start or end with. I stole this from Woody Allen, who said that relationships are like sharks. When they stop moving forward, they start to die. I think the same is also true of teachers. I think teachers are like sharks. When you stop moving forward and you stop developing, you do start to die. I could follow up that with another part of the joke that I added. When sharks die, they fall to the bottom of the sea and they become food for other fish. When teachers die, they hang around in the classroom stinking the place up. Don't be the dead fish, you know. And I think that's what teacher development really is, for me, is all about. It's about keeping your teaching alive, keeping yourself interested in it. I'll kind of deal with kind of two sides of teacher development as well. There's the teacher development side that, you know, comes from developing your practice professionally, and the development that you get from sort of projecting that as well, in terms of developing your online presence or your professionalism as a teacher and how you're viewed online. Because how many of you do work freelance in some way? Yeah. If like me you work freelance, it's very important what you project online and to be visible online nowadays, especially if you want to get work. Nearly all the work I get comes through my online presence, really. If I have to send off a CV, I generally don't get the job. That's my rule. What comes to me. Anyway, I did a little bit of research for teachers around the world and to try and find out how teachers do develop themselves. And I did this through a sort of little brainstorming crowdsourcing tool called Tricider. And these are the kinds of results that I got. And still the favourite was going to conferences. So there are the ideas that people had, and there are some pros and cons here of going to conferences. Surprisingly, the second favourite was taking an online course, which is becoming very popular as a means of professional development, joined with following educators on Twitter, attending webinars. And I was surprised by how many of these things now are online methods of professional development, and teachers are developing themselves more and more online. I guess I cheated in a way because it is an online means of getting information, so teachers who don't do that don't find out. I'll pass that connection to anyone who's on our today's Meet back channel, and if you hit that connection there, hit that link there, you can actually make your contribution and also vote the information there. So my voice doesn't start to go. So what I'd like to share with you during the rest of this short talk is how I develop myself online, because I look after pretty much my own development. The last course I did was my master's, which was about 6 years ago. It was Masters in Educational Technology, and if I was still relying on what I learned during that course now, I would be out of work, because the field that we work in has changed so much, especially technology. So I'll try and share with you some of the things that I do to keep up to date. Most of it, of course, is done through the internet and through Google. Of course, the problems with the internet are pretty much this. This is a quote from 2007 from Michael Welsh, who said that over 1 billion people and computers networked together collectively are producing over 2,000 gigabytes of new information per second. I mean, it's great to have loads of information, but 2,000 gigabytes per second is just a little bit too much for most of us. And so that becomes a problem in a way. And so we have to deal with the problem of how from that 2,000 gigabytes per second do we dig down to the small part that we need each day to make our development useful. For me, the solution is people plus tools. And for me, people plus tools equals PLN, or a personal learning network. How many of you think you have a PLN? Yeah, PLN? Yeah, that's good. Yeah. If you talk to somebody else about what you do, then you have a PLN, basically. It's that simple. But the advantage of the internet is that it can connect you to a much greater field of people. So although a lot of what I'll be showing you is different websites and different websites to help you connect and sort through information, it's still really about connecting to those people. It's not about the technology, it's about getting connected to those people. I kind of have some kind of cycle of development that I feel that I go through, this kind of circle. You can pretty much start it anywhere, but I'll start it at sort of building networks. Really, you need a kind of network of online contacts. They help connect you and help you access information sources. Then you have to evaluate that information, reformulate, assimilate it somehow, and feed it back into the network. For me, this is the process that I go through each day. In terms of building networks, these are the three probably the three most popular tools that I use. How many people are on LinkedIn here? I'm hoping quite a few. Yeah. If I click through to LinkedIn, one of the most useful kind of parts of LinkedIn I find is the groups. There are some very good groups on LinkedIn, and they're sharing lots of information, and that's a good way to get connected to people. I'll just share that for today's meet if anybody wants to investigate my groups. So by using LinkedIn and by using those groups, you're refining that 2,000 gigabytes of information per second back to something that's already been filtered for you by other professionals in your field. So that can help reduce that overflow of information down to something that's a bit more usable, and that you don't have to sort of struggle to deal with quite so much. The other one that I find really useful again is Digg. Digg is a social bookmarking tool. How many people use Digg? How about Delicious? Delicious a bit more. Social bookmarking is a way of saving your favourites so that they can be accessed on any computer. Having an account in Digg or Delicious can really help you access the websites that you need and use regularly from wherever you are. The advantage with Digg is that it also has groups that you can join. So these are groups of people who are networking together and sharing links related to the same kinds of things. These are some of the groups that I'm a member of. Once I've subscribed to the group, I get an email digest each day of any links that they've shared, and I can check that for useful information. So at the beginning of my day, I check my email box, and anyone from these groups who's shared information that way, I can get those links and look at that information. So that's something that I find very useful. I'll share the link to my groups if you're interested in getting on there and joining. Hi WK. Welcome. So if you want to check those out, Digg, of course, is free. Everything that I show you here is free. You can join for free. You just have to register and have an account. And again, it's something that you can start sharing back into and building up your own kind of profile there. The last one in terms of networks is of course the ubiquitous Twitter. As you'll see, I'm quite a tweeter. I've tweeted 5,000, nearly 6,000 times, and I've got getting on for 10,000 followers now. So because I have those 10,000 followers, whenever I need specific information, I can go to Twitter, post out a message, and hopefully I'll get some response from that. Okay, 10,000 sounds a lot, but you know, on average, when I send out a message saying, "Hey, can you tell me about this?" what I get is about 0.1%, about 10 messages back from those 10,000 people. So, but you know, the 0.1% is usually enough to get me where I need to go or find out the information that I need. But again, in terms of building your visibility, if you can build up that visibility on Twitter, then to go along to people and say I have 10,000 followers on Twitter is quite a powerful thing to say. So, for your next job application, if you want to say, yeah, well, 10,000 people. I'll pass you a link to that as well. It doesn't pass. If anybody here is also on Twitter, by all means put in the link to your Twitter account here and we can have a look and see who you are. Post us a link to that. If you're looking for information on Twitter and you're not a member or you're not registered, you still can go to any profile and just type in a hashtag search and find information. So for example, if I type in BESIG now and click on search, see, I'm still getting loads of information about business English and the business English SIG just through that. So, if you're thinking, well, I don't have 10,000 people to help me out every time I have a problem, you can just go and search through keywords in Twitter and still find lots of things that are useful. Or not, depending on how you feel about it. So those are the tools that I use to build my networks and access information. Not so long ago, I found this very useful website by someone called Nik Peachey, which was recommended ELT Blogs. Blogs are one of the main sources I find in my professional development. I read a lot of articles, and most of them are published by teachers who write blogs. Most of it's useful stuff. Here on this one, there's a big list of recommended blogs. Okay, so if you spot your names, you can raise your hand. So there they are. So that's great, isn't it? We've got all those blogs about English language teaching, but how long each day would it take me to go to that page, click through to those blogs, and find out what's new on them? Estimate? 2 hours, most of the day. Yeah, probably most of the day. So, for me, the intelligent way to find that information is through what's called RSS Feed and having a feed reader. How many of you use RSS Feed? Yes, a few more. RSS Feed has been around a while and it's one of the most useful things on the internet, although it's still very much underused. RSS Feed takes information from the internet and brings it to you, or it brings it to your reader page. I have what's called a feed reader using a free service called NetVibes, I'll click through to that. This is my public page, so I can share it with anyone who's on today's meet if they want to have a look. Okay. Let's just do that. Okay, so I can share my feeds publicly there, so if anyone wants to click through and have a look. So instead of going to those blogs individually, what I've done is I've taken the RSS feed, and the feeds from each of those different blogs comes in here to my page. So I just need to go to one place to find everything that's new on those blogs. It tells me how recently it was updated, and if I put my mouse over here, I can get a brief summary as well, and I can look for what's interesting. Theoretical grounding for computer-assisted expert text reading. Yeah, okay, that sounds interesting. So I click on it, open it, and I can read it. So basically the development part of my day is about coming to this page, seeing what's new, and checking out something that I want to read. Whether it's 5 minutes on the train through my NetVibes account on my phone, whether it's through my iPad or whether it's through my computer, I can find something useful and interesting to read about my profession from here in just a few minutes. And I don't have to go around hundreds of blogs looking for them. So having that kind of NetVibes page, that feed reader page, is sort of one of my key sources of information. Excuse me a minute. It's free, it's easy to set up, and you just put in the content that you want. Of course, getting loads of information is one thing, but finding it again is another. How many of you have found that wonderful website with those wonderful materials that you really want to use a week or two from now, and gone to use it a week or two from now and not being able to find it? How many? Come on. Yeah, nearly everybody at some point has gone, where the hell is that website I saw last week that would have been perfect for just now? So for me, these are my tools where I kind of streamline that process, because I've got lots of information coming in. Sometimes I don't have time to read it immediately, sometimes I do, and these are kind of my tools I use. The first one is something called Instapaper. And what that does is it allows me to create temporary favourites. You know, when you see that interesting article and you just haven't got time to read it right now, but you don't want to, it might be good, it might not be good, you don't know what to do with it, you want to save it somewhere. Well, I save those to Instapaper, and then I can come back and read them when I've got time, or download them onto my phone. So, for example, here's my theoretical grounding for computer-assisted expert text reading, which I haven't had time to read yet. So I can just go to my, if I can find it, my read later button, click on that, save to Instapaper. Okay, so now that's saved into my account here. And when I have time, I can come back and read that. So I can sort of manage my time a bit more effectively using that one. So that's usually my first tool for, oh, what's that? And, oh yeah, thought my Mac had crashed on me. So that's one of my tools for saving things immediately. Then I have to decide where to put it, and usually I process the information by deciding to put it in one of these three places. If it's really good, I'll add it here to Scoop It, which is a kind of curation tool, and it's a way I produce my own sort of personal reading list, which I can share with other people. And again, I can do this straight from my browser. So here, I go to Scoop It, and I can add that to my page. At the same time, I can also share it to Facebook, to Twitter, and to LinkedIn, and to Tumblr, and to the other parts of my network. So as well as adding it to my own reading list, I'm also sharing it with my network as well. I'm sharing it with my PLN. So just by clicking on there, I add it to my page. And it becomes part of this reading list. Scoop It is a really useful tool for collecting together sort of groups or pieces of knowledge that you want to share and you want to remember. It works a little bit like Facebook and Twitter as well, in that you can build up followers there. So again, you can sort of build up a following for your network and start sharing things through there. And it also suggests things that you might be interested in. Once you create your page, and start following other people, you'll get suggestions of interesting things too. So that's Scoop It. My other two favourite tools, Pinterest. Anybody heard of Pinterest? Got a Pinterest account, anyone? Pinterest is kind of a teen favourite because it's a good place for collecting together images. So like my daughter likes to collect together fashion images of things she'd like to buy. If I gave her the money. There you go. But as I work in ELT, she won't be getting money. Sad life, isn't it? One of the things that I really like to collect together here, that I find it really useful, because I'm very much a visual learner, is a great place for collecting videos that you might want to use later. So I collect together all my video clips that I want to use for developing materials or for using in class. The other thing I like to do with it is to collect together infographics. Anybody else an infographic fan? These are infographics. It's sort of, infographics are very popular on the internet at the moment. They're a kind of very nice way of collecting together very dense information and showing it visually. And these are very useful for business English. There's one here on the perks of working from home. It's very visual, quite beautiful, and an ideal sort of basis for a lesson or some kind of lesson plan. So I collect all these infographics together, and then when I need to design a lesson or design some materials, I know where to find them. So those are some things that...
Where are these graphics coming from?
Oh, they're coming from all over the place.
You collected them and you put them in there?
Through Twitter, yeah, I collect them and put them in there. Okay. If you go to Twitter and in the search, you put in infographic, press search, you'll come up with a whole list of recommendations. Yeah. I'll pass you the link to my collection if you like. I'll pass you the link to my Pinterest account and you can have a nose round and see what you find there.
And you'd have to be then online in class to use them in class?
Sorry?
You'd have to be online in class to be able to use those in class?
Not necessarily in class, but they're online. I mean, what you could do actually is you can print them up and use them in class. I mean, they're visual materials. If you want to have a kind of face-to-face paper-based lesson, you can print them up and use them. Oh, somebody else.
So for us to write that, it's just we write down. We just go Pinterest. We find it, right?
Yeah. Download the presentation at the end, and then all the links are in there.
Okay.
I'll give you the link at the end.
But can we find it once all the other information?
I'll give you one link.
Okay.
The other thing that I do is, one of the other things. So I've got, here's where I put my interesting articles. Here's where I put my interesting visuals and videos. Here's where I put things that I'm not really sure where to put yet. And here's where the other thing that I look for is tools. I like collecting tools, web-based tools, that is, and apps and things like that. So I have this account where I put all of those. So if I find any useful tools while I'm sort of going through my links, then I put them in here. This is a site called Miyaki. So I save up all my tools in one place as well. So I can always go back and find them. 3 minutes, yeah, okay, I'm doing it. And okay, I can share the link with that to you. So if you want to check out those tools. So that's kind of my process, really. I'll push on very quickly. One of the important things, I think, if you're reading all this stuff, you're playing with these tools, you're playing with infographics, you're using them in your classroom. I think it's really important to have a blog. I know some people think they're going out of fashion, but You know, I think whether you have a blog that has 100 readers, 1,000 readers, or even just 10, is still important to do, because that process of collecting together what you think, writing it down, and pressing that publish button so that everyone in the world, potentially, I know not everyone in the world reads my blog, but potentially anyone in the world can come and see what you've written, is quite a kind of Gestalt moment, really. When you publish something on the internet, it's there forever. Do you really believe this? Do you really think that? And I think that's quite an important moment, quite a clear moment to sort of clarify what's going through your head and to help you develop. So, have a blog. How many people have a blog? If you have a blog and you're in the Today's Meet channel, post your link so that you can share them with everyone else here. Easiest way to get a blog if you haven't got one is a site called Posterous. You see this email address up here, post@posterous.com. If you write your blog posting as an email, you attach a video link to it, or an image to it, or a document to it, click on send, wait for 5 minutes, you'll get an email reply, and you will have a blog, and all of your information will be in your blog. Posterous then identifies the email address that you send from, and everything you send by email just goes into that same blog. So really, you can create your blog if you can send an email. So here, is there anyone here who can't send an email? Okay, so you could all potentially have a blog. You've just got to be able to write an email, and write down your thoughts in an email. Send them to posterous.com. You have your own blog. And I think that's one of the best ways to get developing. Once you've got your blog, start sharing it back. Start putting your links into Digg. Start your Scoop It site and adding your links to Scoop It. Start your Twitter account and start sending out the links to your blog. Share what you do, and share your practice. Thank you for listening. There are some links to my Scoop It sites and blogs if you're interested. This is the one link that you need. Okay, you can download everything, the whole presentation from that. If you have a camera that scans QR codes, scan this and it will be on your phone instantly. Sorry, just 1 minute. Got a question, yeah?
I missed the information about Miyake. I would like to know what it is from you, not the Miyake.
Miyake.
I understand that's when you explain.
It's another way of saving bookmarks. I use it for saving bookmarks to tools instead of using favorites in Explorer. The reason I prefer it though is because it's visual. When you save your bookmark there, it also takes an image of the website. So for me, going through a list of text-based links is kind of a waste of time. They don't register. But if I go through I see a picture of the site, I recognise it. So it's a visual bookmarking tool. Very useful for me.
Thank you.
I'm done.